Hi everyone, Armine Bazikyan here from Bazikyan Law Group. This month I wanted to answer a question that I get asked all the time, and that's how often should I visit my estate plan once I've created it? And a lot of clients ask me this, and the answer that I usually give them is to gauge it based on life events, major life events in your life. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 major events that occur in your life that should motivate you and encourage you to revisit your estate plan. The first one is marriage. If you have gotten married and you went from being single or unmarried to now being a married individual, you should absolutely revisit your estate plan. So I'm going to illustrate this by giving you an example. So for example, let's say John is not married and he has 2 children and he has a trust in place for his children. He gets married to Sally and he thinks, well, you know, I'm not going to change my beneficiaries. I still want my kids to inherit that asset, so I don't really need to make any changes. Everything else should stay the same. Not true. What will happen if John passes away is Sally may potentially have a claim as an omitted spouse to a portion of his assets. What he should have done was to update his estate plan to reflect his new marital status. So if he didn't want to change the beneficiaries, he still wanted his kids to be a beneficiary of his trust, that's fine, except the one provision in the trust and the wills that he should have updated was the provision concerning his family and his marital status. So it would say something like, I'm now a married man and I still want all the other provisions of this trust to still be in force. And that would essentially tell the world that he has no intention to add his wife and he didn't just forget to add her, which is the kind of argument that she would use under the omitted spouse statute to take a portion of his assets. So if you've been married since you've created an estate plan, you have to update your estate planning documents. The second one is divorce. If you are involved in a divorce proceeding right now, or you've just completed a divorce from a spouse, you have to update your estate planning documents. Most particularly during the estate divorce proceeding, you should probably call an estate planning attorney to review your estate planning documents, because if you're going through a divorce, it's very unlikely that you want your spouse that you're in a contentious situation with controlling your health care as far as being your power of attorney, and your finances and all that. So it's very likely that spouses normally name each other to be in control if something happens to the other. And if you're going through a divorce, we want to make sure that that spouse that you don't really like is no longer in charge of pulling the plug if you were in a hospital. So make sure if you're going through a divorce or you just went through a divorce, your divorce is done, that you contact your estate planning attorney and you update your documents. The third is if there's a birth of a child or an adoption in the family, whether it's your child or a grandchild, that you actually review your estate plan and make sure that they're included, especially if your trust is not drafted to take into consideration children born after you've actually put the trust into force. So make sure you visit your estate plan if there's a birth or if there's an adoption. And in any case, as your children grow older and go through different stages of life, you should be visiting your estate plan at those points too. So your trust when your kids are toddlers will look very different from your trust when your kids are teenagers, and then again when they're in their 20s. So once you realize their developing personality and get to know them better, you'll kind of morph what you've had in place for them based on their personality and their financial savviness or inability to make good financial choices. So you should visit your estate plan whether there's a birth, adoption, or changes in age for your kids from one part of their life to another, drastic age increases, that's how I should put it. And the fourth is if there's a death or a divorce in the family or in the people that you've named in your documents. So for example, let's say you've named your brother as trustee of your trust and he passes away and you didn't name a successor. We want to make sure that you come into the office and we put a person in charge that is going to be around to take care of everything. And similarly with divorce, a lot of times people will name, let's say, a sister-in-law, for example, as guardians for their children. If your sister-in-law and your brother are getting a divorce, then it's going to put into question whether you really want that individual to serve as guardian for your children. A lot of times parents will name co-guardians. They'll name a brother and a sister-in-law as guardians for their child, and then that couple will split up. So if there's a split in the family, a divorce, and one of the couples that are named, or if there's a death of somebody that's an important part of your estate plan, you should definitely call and have us review your estate plan to make sure that it still flows well. And the final life event that happens that should prompt you to revisit your estate plan is if you have a major change in your income or your assets, you acquire something that you're not sure of whether it goes into your trust or not. So if there's any drastic increases in your asset portfolio, you should definitely call our office and have us review your estate plan to make sure that not only is it included in your estate plan, but that it also, your estate plan is equipped to actually handle the value of that asset or the value of your estate after a pay increase or after a retirement change, whatever it may be. So your trust should actually change throughout the years based on your net value of your estate and how much you have by way of assets. So those are the 5 major life events that should spark you or motivate you to actually call an estate planning attorney. We're more than happy to discuss these matters with you. Feel free to come by our office and we can sit down for a free meeting and discuss your life changes and whether they actually require a change to your documents or not. Feel free to take advantage of that, whether you're an existing client or a new client with an existing trust in place. Thank you. Bye.